gym yesterday.
For the first time, we are fighting and losing a war on our own soil. Let's go after the drug lords where they live, with an international strike force. There must be no safe haven for these narco-terrorists, and they must know it.
This is getting real. A great big ship was seized by the U.S. Coast Guard and military. A Venezuelan ship off the coast of Venezuela. Not one of those little speedboats. We're talking a great big oil tanker. And it was very impressive. Guys coming out of helicopters and stuff like that. We have a tape that was released actually by the Attorney General. All right. It's about 40 seconds long. It captures most of the operation. Again, this is the U.S. military and the Coast Guard seizing an oil vessel operated by Venezuela. I think it's owned by some African country. Pretty wild. They suspect it was involved in terrorism and some other bad stuff.
Wow. You got to appreciate that, Hunley. This is like an action movie.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Right? I thought that was my new way of trying to grab content and fair uses. Use his introduction to the show underlaying, because there was no sound on that video other than the dramatic sound that he had on his. But yeah, it's interesting.
The reality of it is which is a couple of realities to this. One is the oil tankers are now not leaving Venezuela ports, thereby shutting them down their business. So there won't be any, my prediction is there won't be any seizures, because they're not going to put them out at sea, Eric, to be seized. If you follow what I'm saying. This is, again, in violation of the boycott against this oil going to Iran, or coming from Iran to eventually to China. It's interesting. I've noticed the lingo on the left is talking about Russian interference in Venezuela, but the lingo on the right is about China interference in Venezuela. I don't know which is correct. I'm presuming the latter, because of incredible road and belt investments in Venezuela by the Chinese Communist Party. The left continues to say it's Russia propping up Maduro, and the right, and it's only certain elements of the right who are hip to this, are correctly saying it's the Chinese Communist Party holding up Maduro at this point.
Well, there's another player too that I read something about, and I have to confirm, and that's Cuba.
Cuba, obviously, Cuba,
is like the entire security apparatus internally and all that.
Yeah.
And the way they're funding it is they have a deal with Cuba that is oil again. So this harms his personal safety, because if Cuba's not getting paid, then they're going to pull off the security, and then that puts them in severe danger. And, they're paying Cuba with oil. So.
Not only that, I mean, I am so impressed that Trump, again, amazing me in areas I never thought he would ever do, of enforcing the Monroe Doctrine now, Eric.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's going to try to extricate, and I'm saying this early on because it hit me last night. I think he's going to begin to extricate the Communist Chinese Party from the Western Hemisphere, albeit South America.
Yeah. I think it's very possible.
Well, it's a little complicated, but nevertheless, and the fact is, it's ballsy as all hell.
Yeah, but I mean, he only has so much time.
So, well, look, we're 10 months in, and we're at war with Venezuela.
Yeah, it's a very quiet war, and not much. I just think it's a matter of freezing him out, getting him out. It really makes me think back with Noriega. I don't know if it's identical.
But it's that's what I'm trying to say. It's bigger than that, because of the communist infiltration by the Communist Party into multiple nations in South America, completely asleep on Biden's watch, of course, because they were in a wink and a nod situation with them. For Trump to enforce the Monroe Doctrine now in South America is a big take on at this point on in an administration that has clearly amazed me personally, that I not see any of this shit coming. And I mean that in a positive way too, Eric.
Right. Well, I think it's also kind of ironic that who was the guy out there defending Maduro? Like, no, why are we worried about Maduro?
Right. Well, if you listen, exactly, if you listen to their takes, one by the Dems, one take is worse than the next. But in generally speaking, they've always been soft on drugs, and their real takeaway is it's just guys who need money selling drugs, like my friend Jimmy did in college. That's their cultural fallback since 1969, since the original war on drugs. And we're way past, as I've said many times on this show, the Cheech and Chong era of drugs. And apparently their fallback is it's just drugs. They were trying to make some money. They were hired by someone else. What's the problem here? Like Eric was mentioning. And Trump is saying, screw you. He promised to do this, Eric. He promised to kill drug dealers. And I always thought he meant in some sort of federal trial where they would be executed. I did not see this coming, this actual war on drugs.
Well, this is an interesting one because it's literally taking an oil tanker and that bleeds them out. So it's like, okay, now what do they do if they can't launch any carriers? But the individual I was talking about is actually Tucker Carlson. Now that could be the left too, but he was out there and doing a full episode of why Maduro. Maduro has conservative values on the social side. I kid you not. So
finally, that's great. So finally, somebody other than me on Twitter pointed out, as a woman pointed out, that his face has been beet red for weeks, and she believes that he's drinking again. And I said, thank God I've got an ally. It's the only other person who's ever co-signed, and I don't know her. We don't know each other. And I said to her, I've been saying the same thing. His face has been beet red for days. Now, I don't know if he's out in the sun in Qatar at one of their artificial beaches, or he's shopping for homes there, so he's getting a sunburn. But I'm glad somebody else was on this case other than me.
Actually, you know what? You bring up a good point. That was a very interesting statement of the whole. I like, Qatar. I'm buying a home here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
That's crazy.
I would no, I mean, you know what? You can buy a home anywhere you want, but I would love to see the transaction. I want to see how much are you paying.
That's what Laura Loomer said.
Potentially a luxury palace in Qatar.
Yeah.
Because, if you know what, if he pays and gets himself a studio for $2 million, and I'll shut up and I'll be like, yeah, okay, nothing to see there. But if he gets some palatial estate or whatever for $100,000, I'll be going, well, that's very interesting.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because last week Laura Loomer said the same thing, thinking that he may get this place for $1 to legalize a transaction between the Qatar government and himself, thereby justifying the actual purchase being $1. It could be $50,000, like you said, or $12,000 or whatever it is. But I mean, where do you get a home next? In Tehran? I mean, what, it's just insane. I mean, where are you going to go next? Get a house in Gaza? Like, what is the end game of this guy?
I don't know. It is very interesting. And what an interesting pairing of locations, because he's in Maine.
Yeah.
He very famously has a compound in the middle of Maine.
Yeah.
And people have to apparently it's very rural. They fly into the airport and it takes like an hour or two to
it's like
get
Tim,
out there.
It's like Tim also then. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, and Tim is in a weird spot though, because he's rural, but he's also very close to the capital, even though he's further out than he was. The original compound was a little bit closer in, and that's why you haven't seen many Congress people or things like that on his show. He used to be a little closer to DC, and they would drive out and see him.
Well, it doesn't stop the shooters who have been driving by taking pot shots at his house. I mean, I presume that these are Candace Owens's minions, since he's gone after her so viciously.
It could be. I mean, he's got a long list of enemies.
No, but I mean, the timing of it was so.
I agree.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, and Miles, Milo Yiannopoulos was there at the same time. A lot of things have converged, but to keep everybody safe, this is going to be probably a Candace-free episode. I really I'm getting over her. I feel like the bigger channels, the Tim Pools are going after her. I've been critical of her for a while, and I've said it, you've said it, but it's like, you know what? Now the big boys are going to handle it. Well, let's let the large channels start swinging at her.
Yeah, I don't even, it's not even the content. I just think that she's part of some, whether she knows it or not, some sort of MI6 psyop to divide MAGA and to get these Musk and social media people off their back in Europe. And I think this is part of it, including these strange bedfellows like Russell Brand, Milo Yiannopoulos, herself, her husband who's British. There's just too many Brits. What's that?
Andrew Tate. Don't forget.
There's just too many Brits involved. There's too many Brits. And it just reeks. It sends up a red flag for me.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the only thing that interests me is, again, British influence, the unbelievable British influence in American politics.
It's always been there, but
go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, while we're talking about red flags and being warned against them, did you know we have a sponsor again?
Oh, come on. That's insane, Hunley.
We actually do. And it's perfectly in theme of keeping yourself protected and everything else. It is, once again,
Trojan.
Have you ever searched your name online and found your personal details exposed on public sites? That's the work of data brokers who profit by selling your info to robocallers and spammers. Enter our sponsor today, Aura. Aura identifies and confronts these brokers submitting opt-out requests for you. By law, they must comply, but they often complicate the process. Aura simplifies this for you with services like parental controls, antivirus, VPN, password management, and identity theft insurance. Aura has got you covered. Now, I've been using Aura for years now. It originally found my info on multiple data brokers, and now it alerts me every time sites have compromised my information. Sites are being hacked all the time, and I feel good having this extra layer of protection. Aura also monitors my bank for large transactions. It still surprises me when I get alerts after transferring money between accounts and paying larger bills. But then I feel the relief that I am notified. It's an added layer of security that I can't do on my own. For peace of mind, try Aura for 2 weeks for free at aura.com/AUS and boost your online safety. And the timing on that's pretty good too. Apparently there was a massive data breach that happened like last week, and I've gotten so many notifications from Aura about my credentials being in the leak, because apparently this leak wasn't just one company. I think it was a storing type of thing of like multiple companies. So it's like logons on sites I don't even remember. And, fortunately, I do use password generators, and I have different passwords for every single site out there, and, basic hygiene like that, but still scary.
Wow.
Everything's out there.
You guys want to check this out if you want to be as secure in your IT world.
IT world or any world. I mean,
any world.
The way it is going right now, plus the transactions are very valuable. It's one of those that I tried the trial like 2 years ago, and I've just never stopped it. And I'm pretty happy to have it. So anyway, well,
Trump says there's going to be some strikes inside of Venezuela soon, so this may become a little bit more physical than has initial. If he doesn't leave, I think you're going to see a ticking clock on the guy.
Well, if the oil can't get out, I mean,
it may take care of itself.
He's getting boxed in. It's like, okay, there's a lot of people that are depending on that, and that's about all we have. And
right.
And Russia, whether
they don't need
want to get involved or not, they don't care right now. They're a little busy.
Yeah. Again, I can only go back to the Chinese Communist Party, who has infiltrated deep into South America. I don't see the Russian fingerprints like I see the Chinese fingerprints. And again, once I hear the Democrats talking about Russian involvement, another red flag goes up, because I try to believe everything the opposite of whatever they say might be true. That being said, the DNC is already hiring operatives for the 2028 elections. I heard today on two-way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
they're not waiting around. Not
I think
midterms.
it's the earliest they've done it for a while.
Right. And this ruling, what we're waiting for from the Supreme Court on the civil rights law, which I talked about ad nauseum on this show, going back to the beginning, how I always thought it was unconstitutional, simply because the blacks vote as a block. Anything else, I think, would be legal if they voted separately. You know, even the Jew split is like 80-20, 70-30. Other ethnic groups split, not them. And I think that is why it's illegal, because of their voting patterns. And that being said, the SCOTUS is going to rule on it, but they may add a caveat that it's not applicable until fill in the blank. You know what I mean? In other words, it may not be applicable for 2026,
Right.
or it may be applicable for 2026, but you can't redistrict fast enough, Eric.
No, I totally
So there's different levels. I didn't understand the different levels of this ruling that's coming down the pike.
well, I can kind of understand that when you get it too close to an election and things have been going a certain way, then it's like, ugh. Then it feels more like electioneering versus you say, okay, this round things are normal, but then from then on, it's
They
going to
could
be
do that. They
blah,
could
blah,
do
blah,
that.
blah,
But I mean, I would accept that anyway, but it would be better right now, obviously. Now, that being said, apparently, which I, again, had no idea, there's rumors of an RNC midterm convention in Las Vegas, which we may discuss attending as a meetup for you and me and the channel. This is either going to be in July or maybe pushing into August or September for these midterms coming up. The Dems are doing it, and apparently the Republicans like the idea, and they're going to be doing it. And it's like a convention, not a presidential convention, obviously, but a convention to solidify midterm stuff in 2026.
Do you want to go cover that? And
Yeah, but I mean, we could also combine it with a meetup, like, you know what I mean? We could do a lot
Possibly.
of things. We should talk about what the 20,000 members we have on
locals.
On locals. Apparently, Hunley
Yep.
putting out today a breaking news story of we've reached 20,000 members on locals. Who knew?
Yep. And I think it literally happened today or last night. It's literally 20,000, and we've been there a while. It's great to see you. Now we got about 20,000 who are members, and not quite 2,000 who are supporters. There's two different levels, but
Well,
you
we
can
could
see a
meet
lot
up
of
with them,
people-
Eric, right?
sure, a lot of people benefit on locals who aren't even paid supporters. There's benefit there for everybody. But you know what? Let us know in the chat. Let us know on locals. Let us know everywhere. Do you want us to do a meetup
In Vegas.
Vegas, or
But it would combine two things. It would be great. We could kill two birds with one stone is the reason I had the idea this morning while getting dressed.
Sure. Now, really quickly, I don't want to leave the China
No,
Venezuela subject
No.
completely, and Vegas is close enough to it because in Utah, just next door, they discovered
Oh, yeah.
it looks
Good
like
story.
some rare earth materials. Now, this is a very important lever in the fight with China, because I think we agree that we're in a Cold War with China.
Yeah.
There's no
Well, the Democrats don't want to talk about it, but you and I do.
no, maybe not, but it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
still a Cold War. It really is happening. And one of the only really things they have over our head is the rare earth materials. And that's part of the reason wanting to do the deal with Ukraine. That's part of the reason of wanting to buy Greenland, because
That's
they
right.
have rare earth materials there too.
That's
Well, lo and behold, we have rare earth materials here, it appears. And I'm not completely surprised, because there's so much. I mean, we have oil, we have so many resources in the United States. A lot of it is we just don't bother looking.
Dude,
And
there's
then
going to be a
boom, there it
breaking
is.
story about California, because there is a old strip mines out by the Salton Sea that have been shut due to California legislation for like 25 years. And there's still machines there that have rusted out. And they believe that same situation in Utah may be the same in the desert in California.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
And what about compromise in Arizona? There may be a lot of these materials or elements are near other materials and elements. And I know that Arizona at one time, I think, provided almost 70% of the copper for the entire world.
Right.
I mean,
Well, just get some of the rare earth thing. California gave up mining the minerals whence the Chinese communists told him to, and the market shifted. And there was an article in the LA Times about 3 weeks ago regarding the shift and the stop of California mining this at the same time as the Chinese taking over the market. So I can only say they're linked, the two events.
No, and that would be fantastic. I mean, obviously, the more, and by the way, if the rare earth materials are here, putting a factory near them,
that's right,
makes a lot of sense. Even if it's automated, even if we don't have as many jobs going in as automated factory, you still need people to build the factory, to service the factory, to go in and deliver the materials from one location to another. So there is a lot of possibilities.
Let me ask you this hypothetical question. What is the job approval rating, 1 to 100%, in a poll of registered voters, the job approval rating of God?
Yeah, I heard that question this morning.
Well, what's your answer? I was just laughing this morning listening.
Well, our audience would say 100.
Right, but no, okay, but the audience could say 100, but it'll be offset by people who say less.
I'm sure, but that's what I'm saying.
As a poll of registered voters.
Well, I mean, it depends on where you put the poll on. That's what would be interesting. Like if you put it on a college campus, it'd be about 20%.
Right. Okay. But what he was talking about was a national poll of the job approval. Yeah. So I guess he's talking about a broad poll of registered voters. So it's not every Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Correct.
It's corralled by the registered voter thing or frequent voters or anyone that do it. The job approval rating of God Almighty.
Yes. I don't think it would be that far different than what we saw in the election of 2024. In the end, because they're if you take most of the left, especially the secular left, they'll be like, God's letting kids get disease, God's getting that, God's doing that.
What would their vote be? 12%?
I'm saying it would probably be.
Well, put it down below in the chat, whatever your numbers are. Are in the chat. I'm curious as to what people think. Because the 100's obviously going to be offset by the other people, like Eric's saying. Yeah,
sure. And I don't know. I don't know if he would break 50% though.
On the left, you're talking about.
Well, overall, I don't know.
Overall, yeah. No, I was thinking 37. I don't know why. I just thought 37% popped into my head.
Well, it'd be sad if Trump is doing 30s. Better than the Lord Almighty, because Trump is at 43 right now, which is
right.
Higher than Biden was, and higher again than Obama and W.
Right.
So that was an interesting thing.
Well, he also said to put in other candidates like AOC in the same poll. AOC would be in there, Chuck Schumer would be in there, Trump would be in there, JD Vance. So you'd see a stacking of, God at 73, Trump at 43,
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to ask the audience here. Do you?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm curious. I was going to say this morning to you.
Would poll higher than 50%? There, I'll just go with that and just do a quick poll.
That's a broad question, and then you could comment down below. Now, getting back to this drug smuggling, boat killing operation by Trump, maybe you can explain to me why he wants to now declassify drugs in our own culture. People are completely befuddled by this thing, Eric, with marijuana, how he wants to make it a Schedule C in the middle of one of the greatest drug epidemics in American history. Nobody, and I'm talking about conservative people on the right, cannot get a straight answer out of this administration about this.
I was kind of surprised because I don't see where it gains him anything really. It's not going to be like the Democrats are going to go, oh my God, I love Trump now because he's going to make weed, or, he's not even going to fully decriminalize. He just is putting in a lower category. It's still criminalized. So it's kind of
right. But I mean, it's in a schedule. It's in a Schedule C, which is the third level of
I understand
of felony stuff. But why now? Why him?
Heroin, I think is there.
Why him? Why now? His brother died of addiction. He's a straight edge, doesn't do anything. Yeah. He's complained about it. The numbers in the emergency rooms are through the roof in terms of these new sicknesses from massive abusers, just regarding cannabis. This this scream and vomit, this scrommet thing, as we discussed on the show about 3 weeks ago, and Dr. Drew and I talked about, scrommeting is now some 13,000% increase of emergency room visits. How does this help us as a culture? I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it was
Why
the same
Trump?
show. I don't know. I think it was the same show you were listening to, that in Colorado, they were trying to get something done. I forgot what it was.
It was cable installation.
That's it. Thank you. Cable installation. And the cable company literally said, we can't hire people who aren't high.
Well, therefore
we can't install it.
He said it was a little bit more nuanced than that. It wasn't that they couldn't hire people that were high. The people who were high refused to take the jobs because they're high. They wanted to hire anybody. They just nobody to hire. So cable installation, this on this morning show, breaking news out of two-way, saying that they can't find people to work in the cable installation business in Colorado. So the delay is now over 3 months to get installed. And the cable company said it was directly related to cannabis.
Right. Now, I was under the impression it's because they legally can't hire people who use marijuana. And the people are like, screw it. I want, well, it depends on your job. Like I worked for the government and we weren't allowed to, as a government contractor.
Obviously you, but I'm saying installation of cable is not flying a 747. I mean, it's Colorado. It's legal there.
No, I understand that, but it might be because of the FCC communications, because cable is tied in with FCC, and it could be seen as a government contractor of sorts. I don't know.
You don't know, but let me just tell you this: you're assuming that they're going to drug test you before you accept a job. If you take this argument out a little further,
yes, some do.
No, I'm talking about cable installation, though.
I understand that. I would not be surprised if they did have a whiz quiz. Sure.
Okay. All right. Sure. Well, that would be unusual. I think that would go to the Colorado Supreme Court within a week.
Maybe
if you're in Colorado, let us know, because we're not there. But my presumption, anecdotally, is that this couldn't possibly exist it can't even exist in California. So I mean, I'm just saying that Colorado is similar in its laws that we have here. I mean, there is nothing that removes you from a job other than Eric's description of some intelligence military job regarding weed in California. Now, it may be in other places, but not here. So cable installation doesn't seem like a super sensitive position. Let me put it that way.
Well, you know what? I have
but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Somebody's saying Comcast definitely piss tests.
Okay.
So, some of you might work near,
you might know
somebody
who,
right. And you can tell us right now. I just have a feeling that they probably do test. Here's somebody said I have been tested too. So it sounds like
getting back to Trump's all of a sudden doing this. What is your take at the simultaneous attacks on drug vessels? Again, the disconnect to me and others is really confusing, Eric.
He's trying to protect the locally grown crop.
Well, I've heard that argument too.
That's the only thing
I've heard that.
It's like, you know what? We don't like them foreign drug dealers. But we're going to protect the U.S. THC industry. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, famously, I don't know what year it was, but William F. Buckley declared the war on drugs to be a failure and claimed that we should legalize marijuana. This was back, I think, in the 70s. And it moved a lot of libertarian and conservative elements over to that position ethically. That being said, I again can't figure out what Trump, other than money, is the motivation for this thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, that's a fair answer.
No, he floats a lot of ideas out there, and sometimes they're really controversial, and he may be just doing a trial balloon again. This is going down. This is more. The trial balloon was like 6 months ago. What they're saying is this is about to happen. Well, and I think Bobby Kennedy is supportive of this kind of thing too.
That's completely insane. Bobby Kennedy, who's being impeached by the Democrats, as Eric and I speak to you right now. I think a attempt to impeach Trump went by the wayside this morning.
Died like
Right,
days
but
ago.
the one on Kennedy, I haven't heard about. In fact, if he's endorsing, I don't know, not legalized marijuana, I guess it's decriminalized marijuana at this point. I guess that's his political stance.
Well, and that's the thing. The decriminalization of weed is an argument. I'm not saying it's necessarily legit, but they like to use it as that is something that has been used to beat up on minorities and et cetera, forever. And that the people who have a rough time are being
Mhm.
picked on because of it. So you're really looking out for the little guy by letting him, have all the weed possible to never raise themselves
Yeah,
up. But
yeah. Nobody gets more damaged by cannabis abuse in this culture more than the African American community. Again, a Democratic voter base that they'd like to keep stoned and illiterate. I think it's something like 92% of NBA players smoke weed as they're playing. Keep this in mind. This is not a party thing for them. This is a standard of living drug that they have to have. They get so freaking angry. And you see these outbursts on planes where you can't have weed after a couple of hours of being in a terminal, being on a plane. Ask Mike Tyson how it went on the plane when he was strangling a guy because he didn't have weed for 3 hours. Some people have access to edibles, but it's some people don't. But this, I believe a lot of the acting out on planes is because of coming off of weed while you're up there, dealing with this shit. That being said, I mean, that's why I wanted to bring it up because it is controversial.
Oh, for sure. By the way, when you're talking about planes, because I did want to shift to that subject anyway. First up, I want to get your opinion about Duffy going off and complaining about what people wear on planes, which, yeah, I admit, people are kind of in pajamas and sloppy and things, but there's a side of me that's going, we have a massive shortage of air traffic controllers. We've got some very real problems, but you're concerned about how
my
people
answer.
are dressed.
I had the same question. My answer is this is part of the beginning of a concerted effort to begin to push back against in a direction of civility and transportation. This is not someone ordering anything. I think this is going to be a gentle civil push on the part of the Trump administration about civility in travel, which has become an out of control situation, as most people have seen in videos. I was explaining my reasoning.
Spirit Air.
No. No, but it's every airline. It's not
I'm
just Spirit Air.
kidding.
I mean, it is out of control. Now, is clothing the answer? Of course, obviously, pragmatically, no. But it's the beginning of trying to. This is just my opinion. To regain some civility in travel. I think there's going to be other things that are going to come out of the Department of Transportation like this. And of course, these are free will. These are not being imposed. There's no, jacket ban or any of these things. But I think it bodes well to try to help restore civility in travel, which is out of control. It is out of control.
Well, and one way they can also promote that civility that can go a long way. When was the last time you had a pleasant experience with a TSA? I have recently, a couple times.
I've never.
A
had
lot
a
of
bad
the TSA can be a little
abrasive.
Just a little, especially because it's confusing. Like one airport, it's the bag goes in the tub, but then the next airport out of the tub, and they get very fierce about it. And that's the kind of thing that I think ratchets up.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct. Level. You're absolutely correct. I've been joking about it for months. It varies airport to airport. Every time I'm encountering this, I just make a joke about it and then comply, of course, not wanting to, wanting to de-escalate. But there's no similarity between airports. This seems to be willy-nilly. All of these different things. They turn you have to have an even playing field. That's Eric's right. There's not an even playing field. It's bizarre. It really is bizarre. The little plastic bag with your little tiny miniature products is now out at some airports, in at other airports. Take your laptop out, keep your shoes on, take your belt off. I ask them every time now because I don't know in multiple airports what the reason is. But also recently, and I mean 6 times in a row, and this is supposed to be random, 6 times in a row, I've had my check-on luggage searched by TSA, leaving me a note in my luggage 6 consecutive times. It's mathematically supposed to be random. So I go, how is this 6 consecutive times that I, as an individual, have had my checked luggage searched by TSA? There's got to be more to it than that. Might be location.
They have that handy little tag.
I've got those 6 in a row. Yeah.
You know what? I will tell you that all went away when I got pre.
When you got what?
TSA pre-check.
Oh, I see.
I invested the $70 and I got that done, right? Because I used to have it almost every damn time. I would open my suitcase, stuff would be all moved around, and there'd be the handy little door tag thing on the top. You know,
well, this is check bag, so that I don't really interact with them, you know, because I don't know. I just, when I get home, I see the note, so I'm not really dealing with it. But I just thought it was odd. I think it's because of LAX, because the amount of stuff coming out of here. That story from a month ago we covered.
Could be. But while we're on transportation, somebody sent this into me, and I do think it's an incredibly important story. Jennifer Homendy is the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board.
Yeah. And
she went off and had an entire press conference because in the new bill they're trying to pass, you know, the defense bill.
Yeah.
Do you remember the plane that got hit by the helicopter in the area?
Yeah.
Well, to solve that problem, the administration put forth a new rule saying that all military craft in the area have to turn on. It's essentially like a transponder, but something just saying, identifying their, you know, the craft number and where they are. So then any plane would know, hey, there's another plane there, or there's another craft there. Watch out. Well, inside of this bill, they have language put in there that they can do training exercises again, and they don't have to have the transponder on. And she is just
that's insane. What is their obsession with flying in these crowded airspaces?
Halpern, and we're talking about this a while back when it happened, but apparently there's a little bit of cachet and the traffic is so bad there. And it's like, oh, I just want to take the helicopter over, that kind of bullshit. But it's incredibly frightening what's going on. And I hope that puts enough light on it. Ted Cruz is, out there complaining about it. Some other people too. But
these people are such schemers. You have to watch them 24/7, Eric. I mean, we really need an ombudsman for the people who watches over this stuff. Used to be the inspector general. They became corrupted during the Biden administration. We need a super duper inspector general, even if who knows if that'll even work. But somebody's got to watch these people from the outside of the government that has some gravitas. An inspector general, super inspector general, I'm calling it for the sake of argument, but somebody's got to keep an eye on these people. It's just unrelenting, bro.
I agree. That's one thing that I do like about AI, though. Like, okay, when you drop a 1,500-page omnibus bill that's got to be voted on the next morning, some of this stuff can be caught quicker because you could say, running it through, tell me every single law that's going in this bill, or whatever. And the AI can crunch on and spit out a lot quicker. And maybe some of this stuff can get flagged early.
Quicker. Well, January 5th is the last day of Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think she, like you said, may have stayed on for her pension.
Yep.
But apparently 2 days later, she's going to be busy, Hunley.
Yeah. Probably auditioning for her new gig. Because I think she's going to be the conservative voice on The View.
I agree. She's going to be on The View with the ladies on January 7th, 2 days after her term runs out. I believe she'll make appearances on CNN as well, but she may end up being the chick on The View, especially if she continues to hammer Trump. That'll give you the job every single day of the week.
Right. They have Navarro, who's supposedly a right-winger, who, is like worse than everybody else on the channel lashing into him. I mean, it's such a joke spot. She's absolutely perfect for that.
Perfect.
It's like you could have a leftist or a traitor.
Yeah.
There you go. Nice pick.
Well, January 30th, which I didn't realize, is also scheduled to be the next government shutdown where we have to start this whole process I hate to say this, folks at home, but the whole process will begin anew during the week leading up to January 30th. I expect it to be as crazy as the last time.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I think that the ones that suffer, the people in power, I think it's too complicated for the American people to pick a winner or a loser in these things, even though you and I know how instrumental the Democrats were in that shutdown. I believe at the end of the day, with the bickering, it ends up that the administration in power gets the blame.
It's
Simply because
really,
people perceive them as being in charge.
you know what? It's so they did a brilliant job on that, because it is sad. Normally, the shutdowns, like Ted Cruz was behind a shutdown before, and the Republicans kind of aided on it. You know, it blew up in their face. This time, I'd say that the Democrats won. They pulled that off, and they got people elected.
Yep.
And as soon as they were elected, then they backed off, and they were like, okay.
Well, one of the shocking elections of the entire year was the election of this white Karen woman against a Latino in Miami, where I'll be going next week. Absolutely shocking how a white Karen leftist in Miami, which has been a Republican stronghold for over 3 decades, beat a Latino man. It does not bode well for the midterms or anything else on the planet Earth that she was able to take over the mayoral situation.
First flipped in 30 years.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah, 30. It's been 30 years. Miami was running. Look, it may not have been the smoothest city in the world, but there's so much money in there, so much construction in there. I've been there a lot in the past couple of years. It's boomtown. This woman is going to do what Karen Bass has done to LA in Miami. Watch the complete collapse of Miami over the next 4 years. I don't even see homeless in Miami, to be perfectly honest with you. The sheriff and the police department of Miami has been driven by law and order ideals for years. They are super aggressive against crime down there. The first thing she's going to do is get rid of that chief of police and install her leftist black woman chief of police, which I am completely opposed to legally. That there has to be legislation to prevent an elected official from having a 15,000 man army because she's elected into another job.
It's really sad, because Miami was kind of held up as an argument against Democratic run cities, because they're all, it's like, is there any other large Republican run city? I can't.
Well, I think it was Greg Kelly's father, Raymond Kelly, the former police commissioner of New York, who said famously, the Republicans take power in New York, clean up the entire city, and then the left starts creeping back in, gets in, destroys it, and then the Republicans take over again and have to clean it up. Miami became too cool for school and allowed this door to open to allow them to get back into power, simply because neither one achieved a majority in the election, and it led to this runoff election with the two of them. However, that being said, this is not even a Latino woman. This is a white Karen woman who did this, not unlike Spamberger in Virginia, and Mickey, whatever her name is, up in New Jersey. I mean, we have to, and I don't mean this in a misogynist way.
Or the one who almost won in Tennessee.
Or the one who almost won in Tennessee, who would have won by a landslide in any other Northeastern district. We have to find methods to fight these leftist women. And I don't mean this in a misogynist way. I mean this in a political apparatchik way. There has got to be a way to take the gloves off and go at these women without fear. It is the new racism. In other words, going after black candidates became very, very difficult in the 80s and 90s because they merely said racism. That's dissipated because of a lot of black Republicans and other reasons. That has not happened with white leftist women as of yet. There has got to be new tools in a think tank devised on how to combat these leftist maniacs who happen to be women. The Republican men who run against them are quite intimidated of insulting them, being cited for misogyny and other situations as such.
You know, it's weird that they're succeeding at all, because I can't think of who the black community can't stand more than a Karen. So it is kind of odd that.
Well, how about the Latino community of Miami, which is overwhelmingly Latino, voting a Latino man in?
That's what I'm saying. I'm sort of, because I feel like that there's something in there. It's like maybe recruiting the black community to go after.
I don't know, but it's something we should definitely discuss because keep in mind, every board of supervisor in Los Angeles is a woman. The entire city council is a woman. The mayor is a woman. All of her staff are women. And again, they have their skills. I'm saying, how do we fight back? This is what I'm bringing up. How do we fight back without fear of being targeted? You're a misogynist simply for fighting back, which they're abusing as a weapon against anybody challenging them. Now, obviously, more men have to run. More Latin men have to run. More black men have to run who are conservative. That's obviously a tool. But how do you compete with them head on? We saw the challenge with Hillary Clinton. We saw a little bit of it with Harris. And we're going to see more and more of it across the country because it works, and it's working right now. The question is, how do you fight back?
I don't know. And that's why I was saying that not just running more black candidates, but I'm just saying in the black community, like literally reach out to them saying, do you want this, Karen? Do you like this, Karen? Kind of flipping it on its head of like, look what this woman's doing, because the Robin DiAngelos of the world, and that's really perfectly describing what you're talking about. They use the minority communities and everybody else and tell them they're the ones that watch out and go, did you hear what he said about you?
Well, I mean, in LA, for instance, which again, Miami, like LA, only 8% of LA is black, and yet this Karen Bass seems to be impregnable because they vote as a black bloc of 8%, and they've gerrymandered these districts where black candidates can go to that power base and win the elections. Apparently, this may be true in Miami. I know it was true in Chicago with the black lesbian mayor they had before. This might be a gerrymandering issue, but there seems to be a very tiny minority of black voters. Now, in New York, it's much higher. New York City and Chicago, but LA, 8%, Eric, of LA, and it's less statewide, yet the influence is way out of proportion to their numbers.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, well, another story. This is kind of a sad one. It's somebody who was essentially killed.
Well, that's not him. That is him there. This is Roderick MacLeod, who was a bass player for Roomful of Blues, a band that a lot of people know about, 1980s, 90s, even to today, out of Providence, Rhode Island. One of the great blues bands of all time, have backed up some of the major Albert King, everybody from Earl King and famous artists, and then they play as a unit itself. It's a multi-horn band, rhythm and blues swing band. Rory was bass player for many, many years, still was working with them. Doug James is an old friend, the baritone sax player. I've known all of these guys for 30 years. I mean, this was a incredible band. And he was walking his dogs up in Rhode Island, was hit by this woman while walking. There's a picture of Rory there. This woman was arrested 100 times, had over 50 traffic citations, car filled with narcotics. And this is why I'm mentioning the story. It's because of the lack of judicial imprisonment of people in blue centered areas. 100 arrests for this chick here as a drug addict. And she continued to do drugs and drive, killing Rory the other night, 70 years old, walking his dogs. I mean, just what a way to end your fucking life. It just breaks my heart. Breaks my fucking heart.
I agree. It's infuriating.
It's infuriating.
Because you just sit there like 100 times. That's like 3 times a week.
Yeah.
I mean, how in the hell?
It will not incarcerate anyone on the left for drugs. That's why I brought up this argument about the leftist position on drugs is so soft it led to the death of my friend. I'm just saying this because that's why I was on this drug rant all day, because here I just was stunned last night to read about this. And look, I haven't seen them in a long time, but nevertheless, I mean, I've got all the albums. I've known these guys for so many years, and they played at my friends' weddings. They're just part of our world. You know what I mean? Everybody up in the Northeast knows Roomful, and they've seen him many times. Everybody knows his band. Rory got a Grammy nomination for one of his albums in 1988, and as did the band itself. But what a way to go! It's one thing to get hit by a random car. Okay, it happens. It's one thing, right? You die in a plane crash. Happens.
Yeah.
Not this. Not someone arrested 100 fucking times and a car strewn with narcotics. And the dogs just went home and sat by the house. Unbelievably,
And that it's infuriating in all counts. Not only for him, obviously, but even for her.
Yeah.
She's been arrested 100. If she was locked up for periods of time in between, maybe. Yeah. Well, first off, he would be harming people and is out. He'd be alive. Yeah. But it maybe it would help her get to recovery. Like, Robert Downey Jr.
That is what I've been saying for months. The left has taken away incarceration as part of the recovery business. And I don't mean that as a financial business. Recovery involves incarceration. They have removed that as one of our tools to help people get sober. It has always been on the plate. They have done so much damage to the recovery movement by removing incarceration as a tool in our toolbox. And Eric's right. As Robert told me repeatedly, and I'm talking about Downey Jr., if it wasn't for Corcoran State being sent to Corcoran State Prison, he never would have gotten sober. And there are thousands and thousands of Downeys that I know in recovery who were sent to prison and got recovery because they were incarcerated in jail. There's programs in jail. They work very well if you work them. There's court-ordered meetings when you get out. There's a whole system. That's been eliminated by the left, because they felt it was too draconian and you should be able to do drugs like they do with impunity. That's why I was saying how soft they are on drugs and how they're responding to these boat attacks out of Venezuela that most people on the right are saying blow the living shit out of them. They're smuggling in fentanyl, killing 100,000 people a year. It's far worse than that. The damage done by narcotics and alcoholism in the United States is and I'll say this because people on the conservative right, is a $1 trillion loss in revenue to the American economy every single year. $1 trillion because of lost work, lost wages, being in rehab, and death. It is not a minor problem. This is tens of millions of people, and they refuse to incarcerate them any longer because of their new jail policies. And now Rory is dead because of their policies.
That was just making me think of, I grew up and was in high school and whatnot in the 80s. And that was during the ascendancy of MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, or drunk drivers or whatever. Whatever happened with that? Because have they lost their power though? No, because
no. They haven't. Power. It's just trying to transfer it to drugs and narcotics driving high. They have a side division of MAD about narcotics and drugs, which isn't as powerful because cops can't test you on the spot to see what you're on. They have to take you back for a blood test, which you can refuse. No, MAD has made incredible progress with drunk driving. She was not drunk. That's the point I'm trying to make. This woman is a narcotics addict. There was syringes and heroin paraphernalia all through the car. This chick was nodding out at the wheel at 70 miles an hour. That's different from driving drunk. I mean, the result could be the same. But Mothers Against Drunk Driving, to answer your question, has made incredible progress against death from alcoholic road incidents. The cops are hamstrung because they have no testing that could be done on site, make a long story short, for narcotics.
Well, okay, I don't know all the details on that. I do know that, like, when I was in California or at different places, at least back in the day, if let's say you got pulled over for driving under the influence, because they changed it from DWI to driving under the influence, they would just simply say, if you refuse the test, you lose your license. I mean, they had certain
that's
laws.
Not true anymore.
Well, that's what I was wondering if, like,
No.
some of these have lost their
in,
teeth.
you'd have to be taken into a station and given a blood test, which you can refuse as well, and seek legal counsel to stop them from taking your blood. It's far more complicated than that. But look at it from a cop's point of view. He smells liquor on your breath,
Sure.
and he gives you a road test, and you fail the road test, and then you're incarcerated. ABC. That was the story up until the past 15 years. And then it became more complicated. Now you're stoned out of your mind on cannabis that is so fucking powerful. They don't smell it because it's inedible, let's say. So what are you perceiving? You're not smelling anything as a cop. You're perceiving some erratic driving, but you really have nothing to bank on.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
No, I agree, but that's why I'm asking the questions, because I know that there was a huge success with MAD. And,
absolutely.
And also, technology, I think, has helped. I think that Uber and Lyft have been incredibly beneficial for fighting, drunk driving, because a lot of people
there's
are
also a
breathalyzer.
breathalyzer test too. You know what I mean? Where you have to breathe into a thing, which registers pretty quickly. But we haven't developed a similar pervasive thing for other types of substances.
And hopefully we can. I mean, that's
or put them in fucking jail, which is what I'm saying.
Well, that's an obvious one, yes. I mean, because if
you can't have 100 arrests in any area of society and still function. I'm sorry. I mean, we see this now with stabbers who are homeless guys. We're seeing it all in all different walks of life because it comes down to an urban blue democratic policy of non-incarceration and allowing their voters or constituents or loved ones to be free on the streets. But there's consequences and people get killed because of these people. Every one of their policies leads to death. It's astounding. It really is shocking how many various policies they have that lead to death.
And that includes the people they're trying to protect.
Yeah,
they die too. So it's like, are you kidding?
Dr. Drew talks about, I think it's 11 people a day die homeless on the streets of LA, 11 to 15 every single day of the people that are out there now, getting new tents from them. They have a thing where they come and take your tent, and then another city agency comes the next day and gives you a brand new tent. Two competing disconnected programs.
Wow. That is insane. All right. Well, while we're on that, I mentioned Duffy earlier. I like this move by Duffy. He's threatening to yank the New York federal funds over illegally issued commercials driver's license.
I like that.
And that's incredibly important, because did you see how they were literally handing out commercial licenses to illegal?
Here in California. Yeah, here in California. Yeah, it was a big deal.
How in the hell? And there are some, footage of these drivers. They happen to be Indian, the ones that they show, but it's some scary shit. I mean, the guy just there's turning and just crushing the car out. And you have to understand, I admit I'm paranoid. Every time I'm on the interstate driving,
me too.
I'm zipping fast. I'm like, oh, there's a truck to my right. I'm like getting ahead of them as quickly as I can, or way behind. I can't
I'm always
stand
paranoid
being near
about that. Yeah.
And it's like, and if they shift slightly, like, oh God, I
feel the same way, bro. I don't trust any of them. I just think there's some crazy person at the wheel who's doing something odd up there.
Yeah.
Now, what do you make of the Indiana situation?
With where they went against Trump and just said, screw you, essentially.
Yeah.
Cut off your nose to spite your face. I have no idea why. If you're supposedly a Republican and you're supposedly working towards a party, just because a guy on top pissed you off, you're going to screw over the entire party? No, I don't have a good answer.
They didn't say that was the reason. They said it was their righteous belief that this should not be tampered with. They didn't even cite Trump as the cause. They said this is their righteousness, and that they were people who believed in, justice, and that they were not people willing to tamper with this thing. None of them actually cited him. However, he went to incredible lengths to win this thing and lost because of their intransigence. You're correct about that. The question I have for you, and everybody's question, is, what do you do about it now? Do you let him go so everybody else could say there were no consequences from the Trump administration? He says he's going to primary them. But what do you do, Eric? Because Sean Spicer is kind of from this world, and he speaks for a lot of Republicans, I realize that, who says, you have to have consequences, Otherwise, everybody's going to go against Trump. Like you can't just go, oh, well, they stood by their belief system and we suffer as a party.
That's the Massey argument.
Right, exactly. Right. That's exactly right. Or do you dedicate your life to destroy them? There's a downside to that argument, Eric.
I think I hate to say it depends, but it depends. I think that, and part of why Massey is risky, I think he might get him out, is Massey seems popular in his area. So I think you go after the weaker ones and just destroy them. The Liz Cheney,
right?
For sure.
No, I completely agree with you.
Have the examples.
What do you do? What do you do across the board? He obviously targeted Green, but what do you do about Indiana now, who just told him to go fuck himself and lost the Republican Party 2 congressional seats?
Right.
Here's my question to you: are there any consequences for doing this? And if not, why wouldn't anybody else go against the president, knowing he didn't do anything against Indiana?
There are different ways to do it. Like I said, I would go after the weaker candidates. If you could primary them, great. But I mean, I don't know what the military situation is in Indiana. I know we have Terre Haute, where you have the federal a prison there. Maybe that doesn't need to be a federal prison anymore. Maybe.
Oh, you're saying retribution through financial or you know.
Hey,
you know what? You're hurting the people. You're hurting the people of Indiana's Spice's argument.
Okay, but what are you going to do?
I don't know.
The people of Indiana have been hurt by their own representatives, because if they had 2 more, they would have a bigger voice. But now everybody made their voice smaller. So your smaller voice gets less benefits.
Well, not only that, in a state that he won by nearly 30 points. This is not, you know, some situation in New Jersey. I mean, this is a landslide state, red state for him, getting screwed by people within his own party. It cannot be allowed to stand. LBJ would have literally had them arrested. He literally would have trumped up some charges against them and had them arrested the next day, I believe. Yeah. Trump does not have, as much as I've seen, that crushing vindictive bone in his body that says, I have to destroy them. Not that it's vindictive against these individuals, but for the rest of the country who's going to say, hey, these guys went up against Trump. Why couldn't I? I could be bought off by elements within the leftist community to do something if that's the case.
That's Trump's greatest strength and greatest weakness at the same time.
Yeah.
Because Trump always thinks there could be a deal. Down the road, there could be a deal. So he always leaves something out there, no matter who or what it is. But because of that, he's got people who will stab him backward, forward, and sideways and leave him out there because, well, there could be a deal.
To his credit, there were people on various platforms that we know of who thought that Marjorie Taylor Greene was impregnable. Various pundits that you and I know said there is no way she could ever be primaried. Well, her career is over, and Trump destroyed her. So, I mean, that was an incredibly valuable lesson. Forget about Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm just talking about the concept of retribution for going against the head of the party. There has got to be savage consequences, or you can't rule your own party, folks. No, but I like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Again, missing the point. These guys in Indiana have to be destroyed. And I mean destroyed on every freaking level. Primary is not enough. And it's not personal. It's about running the country through your own party. They have to be savagely destroyed. What they've done, obviously what Eric's pointing out is unbelievable. You've eliminated 2 additional seats as representation of your own state. That's a crime by itself. But to go against Trump at this point, there's got to be consequences. Let me just leave it at that.
Yeah.
There's got to be savage and I would say the same thing on the Democratic side. If they did this to LBJ, he'd have them lynched. Well, we're not them, Mark. We're much softer and kinder and pragmatic, and I think that Massey is an honorable man, and Rand Paul is an honorable man who votes against the president, and Massey votes against the president. We have to have these people. You can't just give me a fucking break. We're in a post-revolutionary situation here, fighting back against a revolution that almost was successful 5 minutes ago. And I don't need to hear from the honorable man, Thomas Massey, to tell me about his particular political points. We are lucky to be alive as a society. Keep that in mind. This is 5 minutes ago, people. It just takes my breath away. And I've said this to you privately so many times, how unpolitically pragmatic the people on the conservative right are in terms of pragmatic politics. It's shocking to me. And, Eric knows my position on this. I'm still stunned how they can't play. And, look, obviously the Democrats walk and talk in the same single playbook, and it's very effective for them. But this infighting among the Republicans, and Eric's used to it because he's been here a long time, is really shocking and new to me. And it's just so ineffective. It's so unpragmatic. It's so weakening for a party that's in power on every fucking level. It's just shocking to me how weak it is. It really is, Eric.
Welcome to the grift. Because that's what it really, in my opinion, falls down to is. And I've been terrified of winning as much as losing, because I know that there's a seething underbelly on the right.
We're seeing that right now.
Yeah. And it's some real nasty operators.
What about just winning? Well, how about just fucking winning? Being pragmatic for winning and privately dealing with your problems behind closed doors, whatever your political problems are, and putting on the same face to win. They don't seem to give that much of a fuck about actually winning. It seems to be second or third on the list.
I think they're fearing different things. This is not the same Republican Party. For example, I was a little young, but I remember Ronald Reagan coming out and just disavowing people. Like, no. And the one thing that the right has traditionally been very good about is people who, I'm just going to say, that are fringe are noticeably fringe. Like they are frozen out. You don't see them at Amfest or this or that. Buckley got pushed out, for example.
Buckley famously pushed out the Birchers in the early 60s. That's how the Birchers got pushed out. They were really muscling into the Republican Party, and Buckley put an end to it.
And we're going to circle back to that. I'm going to lay at Trump's feet again, because Trump, we might be able to make a deal. They have a very big audience, or he likes to have a little bit of a game show like The Apprentice in real life. Like, let's let everybody fight it out. That's going to be stronger people there. And he's very fascinated in watching it. And that, I think, is a problem.
I think it's a problem when it comes to areas of morality. You know what I mean? It's not in pragmatic politics. I understand you want to make a deal on missiles with the leader of North Korea. So you say he's a great guy, and then you start from there. I get it. But when it comes to domestic areas of morality, you have the bully pulpit as a moral leader as well, which is one of his shortfalls, that he doesn't use the moral bully pulpit. He just doesn't want to touch it. And that's one of his shortfalls, Eric. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it's always going to be. It's like they've been bringing up a lot on the shows we're watching. It's true. Like, affordability really is an issue right now. People, if people feel it, it's an issue. You can point at numbers all day long, but you've got to at least say, "Hey, hang on. I know it hurts right now, but look, this is getting better. You can see it here, and it's going to get better." So you've got to acknowledge it. You don't just say,
that's a messaging problem.
No, you don't just go, "Hey, it's A+, everything's perfect." That's all.
18 large eggs today. I bought $2.89. 18, not a dozen, in LA. So you got to get the message out, is what I'm trying to say. California gas is still insanely priced. They're closing the refinery down in Long Beach this week. It's going to get crazier here. We need federal intervention in California and the West Coast on fuel. It's dropped for 13, 14 days now consecutively, a penny or two. But nevertheless, you're still over $4 a gallon all over the city. Most places $5 when you get to super test or super unleaded.
But that's all taxes in California, isn't it, on the fuel? Because
it's not. It's not, because we have these refineries here in California that have been cranking out refined California oil gas based on their own EPA requirements for California. So part of it is bureaucratic and not taxed. With the shutdown of the refinery here, they're now talking about having freighters, ironically, ships coming in from China with oil to save California into Long Beach, where the Chinese would get it, I assume, might have been Venezuela. So this is going to get very interesting. The point I'm trying to make is we need federal intervention.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting. And while we're talking about groceries, I don't know if you saw this, but Instacart has been caught using essentially the same tools that they use with Lyft and Uber and whatever else, depending on where you are, your zip code, different things like that.
Yeah, look at that.
The pricing can vary. So here at a Safeway supermarket in Seattle, shoppers using Instacart paid 5 different prices for the same Oscar Mayer deli turkey.
Wow.
$3.99, $4.31, $4.59, $4.69, and $4.89.
Within the zip code of Seattle?
One same supermarket, different customers. Yes.
Oh, different customers. So how do they base that on? What varies the price?
That's a good question. It could be where they are. It's called dynamic pricing.
But it's all within the relatively same zip code, though.
Exactly.
Right?
That's why it's
wow.
It is a giant problem.
Well, tell us in the comments if you've experienced this and what you're paying for eggs. We had that last week. I'm curious to keep up on these egg prices. Not that eggs are everything, but it's one symbolic price of an item that we could really measure the economy by, I think. That being said, this DoorDash woman showed up again on these ringtone cameras, Eric, which you love. The DoorDash woman shows up.
Are you talking about the one who saw the guy?
No.
Okay.
This is another one where the couple got the food, started to eat it, and got violently ill, and went back to their DoorDash camera and saw her, this fat white woman, spraying pepper spray into their food, again because of the tip. She didn't like the tip, and they had to go to the emergency room, were sickened by the woman with the pepper spray.
Yeah, oh God, that's mind-blowing. I saw a video, and I'm not to segue, but it's sad about the tip situation. That there's a woman who dropped off DoorDash or whatever it was, and the homeowner walked out with cash to give the driver.
Yeah. I do
and
that.
the driver,
That's what I do that.
I know, but it was kind of hilarious because the driver's like, oh, I can't take that. And like scurried away in shame. And inside of the bag was like a nasty note about you, cheap bastard. Da. And it's just so sad that, first off, the whole tipping thing, that's one thing I did enjoy. I have to admit, when I was in London, and I could just go to a restaurant, and I could just eat, and I didn't have every single place that we go to. I mean, it's getting so bad now that they're putting tips on all the registers for whatever it is. If you walk up to the register and you grab something, there's a tip on there. I think they had a tip at the airport. I could be wrong, but I could have sworn there was a tip on that too.
It is everywhere. It is everywhere. But this violent reaction by the delivery people, I believe, is going to accelerate the replacement by on-ground robots, which are all over LA, delivering DoorDash and Uber, the on-ground robots, and in more rural or suburban areas will increase the delivery by drones. I think their biggest expense are these human delivery people. The problems are with human delivery people. These incidents are with human delivery people. I think they're going in the direction of automated anyway. I think this is just going to accelerate it.
Well, that and have you ever heard of the term enshittification?
No.
Okay, that's literally Cory Doctorow came up with it, and it's talking about all these services. DoorDash kind of came in prominence during COVID, and it was a miracle. I've got to say that the first year of DoorDash, I mean, it was wonderful. It was a fair price, is going on.
Yeah.
Well, then now what happens is, as soon as people like it and they like the service, the service starts to slip down. This is the enshittification principle.
Oh, I
And then
see. Right.
then they say, okay, it used to be DoorDash. I would order something for a restaurant. Boom, they pick it up, they get it right to me. Now there's a driver and they might be picking up from 5 restaurants. But if you pay a higher fee, well, then that means that they won't deliver to another house before your house.
Well,
all
it's
these
funny
things
because I
adding
used
up.
to, there was a Thai place close by me. I used to have it delivered from this Thai place, Tub Tim, for many years. And then one day they told me, this was 5 years ago, we can't legally deliver to you anymore. I go, what? And they said, yeah, we are forced by our contract now. They signed up every restaurant in the neighborhood, got rid of every delivery boy from every restaurant, and they all were forced through pressure, sales pressure, to sign away their delivery rights to one of these delivery services. So I had to pay an exorbitant fee to get the same food I was getting from the same restaurant for 10 years because they farmed it out to DoorDash. I mean, the fees are exorbitant, Eric.
Yeah. And that was the other one. Taco Bell had a sort of similar situation. We were coming back from the meetup in Youngstown, and it was late at night. It was like, you know what? I'm just going to go through the Taco Bell drive-through on the way home, right? We went to the drive-through, and they said, sorry, we're only servicing DoorDash.
Oh, you told me that. That's funny. You told me that one. That was very funny.
And I've never eaten a Taco Bell again, by the way.
Well, who could blame you? By the way, happy Hanukkah to all my Jewish friends. Rough year. It's going to be better. Sunday night, first night of Hanukkah for people celebrating the Festival of Lights and the story of the Maccabee family who took on the Syrian army and lit a candle that burned for 8 consecutive nights, so-called Miracle of Hanukkah, Festival of Lights. That being said, it's not James Cameron, but what's his name, who did Oppenheimer. The director is making a film about
Nolan?
Christopher Nolan is making a film with Matt Damon about the Odyssey, where they're inside the Trojan horse. This is going to be a multi-million-dollar epic. It doesn't come out until July, but all kinds of wide-angle IMAX trailers are being released this week about the film. Obviously, that's going to be a battle spectacular by Christopher Nolan about the Trojan horse, but from the inside, from the men inside the horse, which has never been depicted before. So that's going to be interesting. Just some more film notes for people looking for some entertainment this weekend. You might want to take a look at a film called Jay Kelly with George Clooney and Adam Sandler. Jay Kelly. This is on Netflix. Kind of an inside Hollywood film with George Clooney playing a George Clooney type guy named Jay Kelly, who is wrestling with his teenage daughter and trying to find some relevance late in life. He's already a superstar. Adam Sandler is his personal manager, and it's really inside the game and really well handled by these guys as a film. Not that I want to promote Netflix, but people are so dying to see something. This is 2 guys at the top of their game, Clooney and Adam Sandler in a real film. So that's recommended. Then Eric, last night I was telling him I binge watched all 4 episodes of Death by Lightning, which was done by the Game of Thrones people, based on the Candice Millard book. Now, the reason this is interesting, it's the assassination of Garfield, and Garfield is played by Michael Shannon. Very well done. Not a big Michael Shannon fan, but he really does. This is Death by Lightning. This is the opening thing here, which is a cute little opening. Shot in Hungary, by the way, and there's a lot of matte painting and everything else because of the period of 1885-ish. But the convention in Chicago, Eric, that you know about, how Garfield gets the nomination, is fantastic. Grant is there. That whole part in episode 1 is in the weeds. If you're into political conventions and presidential politics, about Garfield, absolutely fantastic. And then Gateau is the actor playing Gateau is fantastic. Just there's a lot to be. It's 90% accurate. But that being said, no one's going to know the 10% except people like myself. Now, that being said, I was up for this job 10 years ago with the Candace Millard book, and I went in and pitched. I was brought in to, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but I was supposed to be, that's where the Garfield episode comes from that Eric and I did. I was supposed to, or was supposed to be in my mind, they brought me in to deal with the book. The book is great. The book is totally accurate. This thing is not as accurate as the book. They bought the book, and then the people who did Game of Thrones and some other prominent showrunners did this on TV.
Those same two dudes, I forgot their names.
Yeah, Matt Ross, I think, is one of them, and then there's another guy. But that being said, well worth the trip. It's 4 episodes. They're not long. They're like 40-minute episodes. But if you're into the assassination of Garfield, which I am, this thing is pretty damn accurate. It doesn't go to the conspiratorial level that I do, but the Conkling, Senator Conkling out of New York, and the Chester Arthur actor, unbelievable. These 2 corrupt evildoers, and historically accurate. Both Conkling, who was a senator.
Offerman is Arthur.
Yeah.
He's good.
Fantastic performance by Michael Shannon. Fantastic performance by the Chester A. Arthur character, and the Conkling character. Now, both Arthur and Conkling. Arthur was the muscle, for people who don't remember this. You may want to look at our episode on this. Chester A. Arthur was the muscle for Conkling, and they both ran the customs house in downtown New York. And 75% of the federal revenue of the entire nation went through the customs house downtown New York, and Conkling had a stranglehold on it financially. And that was how he ran the state of New York, and that's how they ran national Republican politics, because they had so much money in New York politically for the Republican Party. They controlled the delegates, and they have to make a deal for Garfield to become president, and Arthur is given a spot on the ticket as the VP. It's very similar to the Kennedy-LBJ relationship, and that's why it's always been fascinating to me. And I believe that Conkling and Arthur were involved with Guiteau. Guiteau knew them both. Guiteau was brought into the fold by Arthur and Conkling. Guiteau was clearly a whack job. I never disputed that. But so what? They put him in the world of Garfield and Chester Arthur, who drank with him, hung out with him, and did all kinds of stuff with Guiteau. And that's never been disputed. He was just crazy enough to wind up and point in the right direction to kill Garfield. Now, the fact that he still does not have protection after 20 years after Lincoln, it doesn't even happen until after McKinley in 1905, for Christ's sakes, where they finally give presidential protection to the president. It's shocking. I mean, Garfield's walking around. At one point, Guiteau almost killed him in church. That church that presidents go to in D.C., comes in, sits in back of him, and is about to kill him in the church, which is true, and loses his nerve, runs out yelling about the Lord Jesus Christ, and runs out of the church. Not one bodyguard. Not even a guy. That's where the title comes from, Death by Lightning. And he says, that the odds of getting killed as a president or surviving it is the equivalent of dying from lightning, that anybody can kill you. And that's like a given by Garfield. Now, Garfield had been a huge war hero and comes out of Ohio. Fantastic depiction of the rise of Garfield presidentially, how he's there speaking for another candidate. He's asked to speak on behalf of this other candidate, and he gives a speech, and it takes days, Eric. I mean, it's like 32 rounds of voting before Garfield, 32 roughly, until he gets the nomination. It's real. He's defeating a sitting president, by the way, who's so corrupt and has such a spoils operation. What Garfield is known for is the beginnings of the end of the spoils system in American presidential politics, for people who don't know.
Which Arthur actually did deliver on.
Yeah, but it's kind of like LBJ delivering on the civil rights program of JFK.
Because now he got in. He rode the spoils, and now he's closed the door behind him.
Yeah. And
but also medical science let Garfield down, too.
Alexander Graham Bell is in the movie, too. He comes in at the end. There's a little bit too much made up bullshit with his wife, completely made up, completely unnecessary, never happened. But you're not going to know the difference. I mean, I know the difference, so I was cringing, but 90% accuracy in this miniseries. So I'd have to recommend it for this audience, simply because of the way this audience responds to this type of material. But the assassination depicted, there's no trial of Guiteau, for instance. I think they eliminated that. But yeah, I was quite surprised. The quality of the acting quality was amazing. Absolutely amazing. The Guiteau character is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Because he's crazy, but not that crazy. And they even depict him with the Oneida sex cult in upstate New York in 2 flashbacks with nudity and some other stuff. So trigger warning to those.
Wow. Okay.
He joins this sex cult. If you know the story of Guiteau, which we covered in
everybody check out our episode.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Eric, you may want to just put it somewhere. Because the Guiteau aspect of the assassination, he was in the Oneida sex cult, the ones who made the silverware ladies. Yes, this was like the anti-Shaker group. The Shakers were not allowed to have sex. Oneida was actually a Christian sex cult, more of a communist commune situation that worshiped perfectionism in like a communist motif in upstate New York. A lot of these were in upstate New York, including in the Mormons at one point, I think, and the Shakers and Oneida. But he joins Oneida, and for 5 years, he's in Oneida, Guiteau, but he doesn't, the women won't pair up with him. Let me just put it that way. And he either leaves or gets kicked out.
He's an incel.
He's kind of the first incel. Yeah, he's kind of the first incel. He denounces Oneida, leaves, but he's so ambitious. His sister is really interesting. She loves him, and he was beaten savagely by his father, who was a psycho. The sister is depicted accurately. There's a lot of accurate depictions in it. Why they had to do the inaccurate stuff is some political correct bullshit. But I think people would really enjoy this.
Cool.
Again, on Netflix, I think.
All right. Speaking of things to enjoy, because I had that popped open anyway, in order to do a lot of prep and things like that for this show, it's a good idea to have some coffee. And you know what? We happen to have 2 flavors for you. Both of them are a breakfast blend type flavor, though. So there's nothing too, too crazy with different flavors or whatever. These are nice blends. The Supreme Breakfast Blend is the original. It's a bit more of a brighter, or the Magic Bullet Blend. It's a bit more of a smooth, kind of a darker tone, but very smooth and easy to drink. And as I always like to say, I always drink cream with coffee, but I don't drink cream with any of these coffees, which was incredible because coffee tends to be influenced by Starbucks, and Starbucks sells burned coffee. And that's why a lot of people they like the coffee dark, and they think to get dark coffee, they get burned coffee, and it's not really good. These coffees, the dark is just dark. It's roasted, but it's not burnt. So I don't need any creamer to try to mitigate that factor. So I hope you guys consider checking that out. And as well, we're on support, we do have some super chats that have come in over the show, which we appreciate. Ort Cloud, happy Friday to my favorite truth seekers. Thank you. And you've been a member now for 5 months, which is awesome. AV8 Picks. AV8 Picks. Oh, I'm not familiar with that, but you gifted 10 American Untold Stories memberships.
Oh, wow.
So thank you very much. Not familiar with your handle, but very, very generous of you. Coming in strong. K Digital 254. Why can't indie filmmakers make a non-deep state Oswald TV show / film? Maybe use crowdfunding. I don't know.
First of all, it's hundreds of millions of dollars to do. I mean, mine was about $100 million. So that's the answer to mine.
Oliver Stone did do it.
I mean, Oliver has made JFK, but that was Warner Brothers that put up the money. It's not only just the physical money; it's marketing, it's distribution. It's not that easy, Kay, in terms of just making a movie. I've always said any movie could be made for $5 million. Any normal movie, everything else is above the line. You can make, other than action pictures, that being said, any walking and talking type movies can be made for $5 million.
Sure, that makes sense. I kind of feel like, and you can say if you agree or disagree, that the height of movies at the 90s into the early aughties, there were so many independent films that were made for the 5 million, 10 million, $20 million.
Yeah.
And I feel like that just kind of got blown out by tentpole in China. Like,
well, also Netflix and some other stuff. Right now, there was an announcement this morning. Starz has bought this script to make the Otani gambling movie, Eric.
Congratulations. I know you're into that.
That's kind of, I'm sure that's going to be interesting.
I've got another story while we're on Netflix, though.
Right.
This director, Carl Wrench, was just convicted on all counts in the $11 million fraud case against Netflix. Have you heard about his story?
What is his fraud? What did he do?
He directed the movie Ronin 47.
Oh, yes. Everybody testified in this case. Yes. Yeah.
They gave him all the money. He just took the money.
Yeah, he took the money. Yeah.
Ran away with it.
Yeah, he's in a tough spot. He's in a tough spot.
I guess so.
Yeah, there's some people going down for that one.
Look at him outside the court. Oh.
What'd you make of Trump pardoning Tina Peters, by the way, in Colorado, the election worker?
I mean, it doesn't help her with her state case, but if it does bring attention to her, or it gives her something nice, I don't know.
What do you make of this Nate Hockman? Maybe you don't know this. I'll just tell you this story. Nate Hockman arrested 5 contractors in Altadena yesterday, all Mexicans. The homeowners were so frustrated, they just hired contractors to rebuild their homes from the fire. And the district attorney and LAPD arrested all of them attempting to rebuild the homes, as they were, quote unquote, unlicensed contractors. These were veteran Mexican builders who were unlicensed but worked all the time. And they were immediately arrested by the police, again stopping any rebuilding for, again, another rationale. Hockman, I'm surprised that he is involved with this, but wow.
It makes me, house building makes me think of Corolla, but
yeah,
he always talked about something. I thought it was fascinating. He talked about how LA can't fix the roads, they can't fix the potholes, they can't do shit on all that. They love to run the sprinklers when it's raining. He said, but when it comes to parking meters, he said, then they're freaking geniuses.
Right. Yeah.
They come in. Yeah, they've got scales. They'll find every way to pull every bit out of it. So why are they going after
it's
the
like making the trains run on time? By the fascists. I mean, that's the. Like I said, they take so much money from Uber drivers for the city of LA that it's almost equal to the amount the Uber driver makes. But this situation in Altadena, where only one home has been built in a year, is really exposing the socialist government here. And it's going to take the feds to come in and start to bust some heads. This California corruption case of Newsom's former chief of staff may open up some windows into that world, because that's going to be an interesting case, Eric, the one up in Sacramento.
But that's where I was going with it, though, is that they're cracking down on independent workers because they're obviously not working with permits.
Yeah.
They're obviously, the homeowners are so desperate because they can't get anything to push through that they're going through the back door. And so they're cracking down hard on that because those permits are going to their family members and their corrupt, deal. So they can't
get the permits to even to begin rebuilding can be $8,000 to $30,000. And then to use these licensed contractors, the licensed contractor has to go to City Hall and, as Adam says, pull the permits, and then you have to give them $20,000 to get the permits. That takes months. So people out of desperation are saying these guys know how to build a house.
And they do.
Right.
Yeah, they do.
They were starting to frame. They were starting to frame these houses. They had an undercover operative within the crew. I mean, this is how sick this is. to rat these guys out. So everybody's out of work. And the top 5 who are doing it, the contractors, are in jail.
Yeah. And by the way, my dad was a general contractor.
Yeah.
The really, really sad part is he struggled mightily all the time because he couldn't find good help.
Right.
So in California, good news. You're locking up your talented people.
Yeah. These guys were not amateurs. They were just unlicensed, quote unquote, because they need the work. They don't have time for this bullshit. And that's how the underground economy functioned here and still does. And there is Hochman saying this is the most pressing issue in the city. It's a little surprising for the Republican Hochman.
Yeah, no, because Republicans, like, who was the guy whose mall survived? They're very, very focused on
Caruso.
Yeah, right. And they're focused on money and the bottom line. So that is Republicans aren't always good on that.
It's so squishy, bro. I mean, they really make me sick sometimes.
All right. Well, diffuse is going to make us feel better. Tractor guy. Mark and Eric, just wanted to say how much I enjoyed the deep dive on that violent punk Bill Murray. Also, Eric, Charles Key really seemed to have his act together. Fascinating. Thanks, Tractor guy.
Thanks, Tractor guy. Thank you.
I do appreciate that. Or we both do. Dick Dickerson gifted 10 America's Untold Stories membership. Dick is on the board. He is back. Thank you so much. As always, Dick. Been a wonderful long-term supporter.
You see, the Huddle is now reading their super chats and putting them on the screen.
No,
we were used to two-way. I've been watching the Huddle,
right?
And the Huddle doesn't have two-way, so they put super chats up,
which is fine. I mean, that kind of makes a certain amount of sense. I think they're trying to figure out what they want to do, but I will say that two-way, he's got a very aggressive ad salesperson, because how many freaking ads does he do?
It's incredible.
I'm like,
oh my God. Yeah.
I was thrilled for them when they got their first ad or two, but then it was like, oh my God. And then he's terrible at doing it, because he goes, I'm Mark Halperin. I'm reading an ad for fill in the blank. Cozy Earth is having a sale.
Well, if it's any solace, I was looking at this morning's 2 shows. I saw both the shows. And when I looked at them, the Huddle had 15,000 views and Halperin only had 10,000 views.
Yeah.
So I think it's made an effect on him.
Oh yeah.
Am I wrong? Or?
Oh, without a doubt. Now before, keep in mind the Spicer simul-streamed two-way at the same time. So
okay. All right.
There was a potentially a few thousand there, but no, I think he's been hurt and he's trying to find his host. His co-hosts today were decent.
Oh yeah, those guys were okay.
Yeah, they're not bad.
He's got to stick with what I would do is stick with somebody for a week. This is jarring, Hunley.
I would just say these are the co-hosts.
I would say, this is just me. I would say these are my co-hosts for the week, and just and play and see the numbers. I mean, this is changing it every day. I'm getting whiplash, bro.
Yeah, I think that the Huddle may win out.
Yeah,
as they lock it in together because of the talent that's there. And she does seem to be bringing some inside gossip stuff. I'm like,
yeah, who is that woman? Like, is she a journalist from DC or something?
I think she worked for Politico at one point, and I think she might have been a chief of staff of somebody. It seems like she's an insider, though.
Well, Dan apparently was the chief of staff to Polis in Colorado.
Yeah.
And so that's why there's some insight into the Colorado drug world, too, I think.
Yeah, Dan's one of those backroom players who's been around a long time. He worked on the Kerry campaign, the Clinton campaign.
Weird.
But
by the way, I saw that the husband and daughter team that wrote 2 Dorothy Kilgallen books are making the rounds.
I was wondering, because you sent
that's
me
why I was sending you that
rock stuff, and I was like, what got you on this kick?
I was watching these 2 bullshit artists talk about Dorothy Kilgallen.
Well,
and they went out of their way. I was just watching it. I was, and I said, I remember that guy. He was the guy who sent me the book, wrote me a letter, the father, who was deep statey as it got. And then he employed his daughter. But nevertheless, it wasn't even the point. In the letter he wrote me, they seemed to denounce multiple ideas that I've had. And one of them was that she received her info from Mark Lane.
Right.
That's why I was sending you that thing. That they denounced Mark Lane as being the source of her material, which is absurd because he was. The second thing was they're distancing themselves from her multiple hospital visits for drugs and alcohol, Dorothy Cogallan, that's why I was sending Eric some links to the hospital visits of her for drugs and alcohol.
They also, because I remember the letters too, Mark Shaw. Supposedly she did all the research for Mark Shaw, or that's what was claimed, or somehow she was working for Mark Shaw and then he stole all of that.
Oh, I didn't know that. But she also has
yeah.
a husband I sent you stuff about.
Wow.
The husband of the author is extremely far left, almost to the point of writing for these communist periodicals, as I pointed out in some of the links to you.
Not completely surprising. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
anyway. I hadn't thought of Kilgallen. I just was watching the two of them on the show, and they went out of their way to denounce this connection to Mark Lane and the level of to make her into a crime reporter. The percentage of her column was called On Broadway, and it was a gossip column. And occasionally she covered a trial like the Sam Shepard trial and the Ruby trial. But I think the percentage of real news to gossip was about 15 to 85%. And everybody, for reasons of their own agenda, have been trying to make her out to be Lois Lane working at the Daily Planet. She was a gossip reporter. I mean, that's who she was. And she covered a couple of trials, and most of the information she got was from Mark Lane, who defended her vociferously. And the whole idea, and Mark Lane is not without incident. He's the one that said the CIA killed her day one. And that's where it comes from Mark Lane.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And it makes sense too that he was feeding her information.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, absolutely. I don't even begrudge him or her for doing that. But this whole narrative about her being this incredible investigative reporter is a crock of shit. She met with Jack Ruby in a private interview. You know how long it lasted? 8 minutes and 35 seconds. That's how in depth. What did you say?
I said 10 minutes.
It was 8 minutes. She had 2 years to publish a book, and for some reason, the most powerful columnist could not find an author to publish the book.
Wow.
Or I mean, a publisher to publish the book. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, Wellesley 72. Most dump truck CDLs now can't speak English in California.
Oh, that's probably true. I mean, well, here it's LA people who are Latino, but
yeah,
they're just regular Mexican Americans.
What is this? Lisa Deed. Mike Pence.
That's a good point,
Indiana.
Lisa.
The Rhinos. I was thinking Mike Pence earlier with Indiana.
Good point. I never even thought of that. That's a very valid point, Lisa. It could be Mike Pence's influence in his circle of scallywags.
Well, there's a ton of Republicans that hate MAGA and they hate Trump. They always they're never.
He's got to crush them. It's
just
fine.
quiet about it.
I don't mind. I do not mind. They have to be destroyed. Both can't coexist. That's why you've got the problems you've got today.
Right, and those people who are picking on, certain ones, like they like to pick on Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz has been pretty solidly reliable for Trump, like the whole way. And I think Trump has commented too that Ted Cruz has always voted with him.
Look how what's his name was on the outs for so long, little Marco.
Well, yeah, Marco's probably his top soldier.
Look how Rubio has come into the fold.
Yeah, well, he's his top soldier. I mean,
nobody wasn't back in the day. He was.
Oh no, he ran against.
He was out in the wilderness like Cruz.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it can be done, but you have to threaten them.
Yep. Dick Dickerson. We had a foreign driver delivering fuel caused $6 million in damage. Caused $6 million in damage to 3 planes. Oh boy. He didn't follow the escort and then turned into our ramp.
Oh my God.
Hit 3 planes on the tail and tried to lie about it. He was arrested. Wow. That is insane.
Well, I mean, the penalty for these people is they're simply deported. The case with my friend up in Rhode Island was this woman was an American citizen who was arrested 100 times.
Which is so sick.
Taking human life.
Yeah, I mean, let's see, Tim McLaughlin. The left rarely goes against their leaders.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
True.
lesson to be learned from that. I mean, they're not, I mean, you
By the
take
way,
what you
member
need.
for 34 months, almost 3 years.
Wow, that's kind of a record. Nice muscle car there, bro. The lesson, you could take what you need from them and not take everything. I mean, their ability to stay in rank and file while Mike Johnson's head is spinning off of a platter every 2 days is amazing.
Yeah, I think that Mike Johnson has one of the toughest gigs in the world right now, because he actually is supporting Trump.
Yeah,
the whole way. He has been a completely, and we didn't really trust him either, but he has been lockstep. Whatever Trump wants, he has been doing it, and it's like he's struggling to hold people together. I feel like Trump needs to, jump down their throats a little bit more and say, get with your speaker.
Well, sometimes it's somebody who in this case is Susie Wiles's job, who does this stuff. I don't know. According to Sean Spicer, nobody fucks with her because they can't fuck with her. But again, I don't know what fear she puts into these people. That's the chief of staff traditionally is somebody who does this.
Well, and apparently, though, I mean, to her credit, she's the one who's got Trump going back out on the road.
I don't know if she is, but he's going on the road. So she was.
Well, he said that she told him to. So
I know, but he loves the road, bro. This guy's a road dog. He was in the Poconos the other day in Pennsylvania, killing it. I mean, I think he wants to sit in that Oval Office all day, eating. He'd rather be doing the road anyway.
Well, he likes people.
Yeah,
that's like he really
loves the act. He loves the buzz.
He loves to meet the people. He loves to go in the area. He loves the the crowds, all of that. Wellesley 72. 30% of gas comes refined from other countries. It most likely will go up to 50%. California can only refine 70% of its gas. This will drop to 60% or less.
Yeah, we're going to lose about 8 to 10%. He's right. Thank you for that. But it's a big chunk, though. It's losing 10% is a big chunk, and an entire refinery. So yeah, that hurts. That hurts. And the jobs. They didn't even mention the tens of thousands of jobs. This is Arkfield. What's the name of the company? The gas company, Atlantic Richmond or Arkfield or something. Anyway, they're about to lose their jobs in about a week.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch, but of course, California wants to make gas illegal anyway. So
you're right. They were not. So they knew this was coming years ago. This is not like they announced it Thanksgiving. They said we have to shut down, and they're going, "Thank God, get out of here."
Yeah,
Atlantic Richfield is what I was thinking of.
Yeah, that is insane. Well, at this point, we are going to head over to Locals, and you can become a member there for free.
Well, tell
them
the
other 20,000 people.
There's 20,000 people over there, but you got to go to unstructured. However you spell that, unstructured.locals.com.
Correct.
And don't ask me in the comment section, because we're not sitting there responding a week from now that you can't find it with a magic button and a coupon or something.
A good news in every description of every video that we put out.
All right.
Wherever you're watching it,
on.
Except on Locals, because it's kind of redundant to put a link to Locals on Locals.
Right.
There's a link, and it's saying on Locals with a private chat and after party. You can click that link. It'll take you right there. It'll take you right to what you're watching right now.
Well, if you sign up, you get the LBJ audio drama, which I highly recommend, which has just been posted this past couple of weeks, I think, right?
Yeah, in November it got posted, and that's for the paid supporters. Just so we're clear on
and you get the
Oswald
10-hour one, which is 5 times the size of the LBJ one, which I worked on for a number of years. But they have sound effects and stuff. These are like War of the Worlds radio dramas. And you get the PDF of the script, so you could follow along at home, which is fun. I've done it. It's really a lot of fun. And if you're into stuff like LBJ and Oswald, if you're not, you're not. There's other things on the site besides that, but I just thought it's a great extra that you get when you become a member.
Also, when you're a paid supporter.
Paid supporter. I'm sorry. I got the wrong.
Correct.
I would say member.
I know, but it's just to be clear on it. But
Yeah.
if you are a paid member too, you can post your own content. You can share with other people.
Oh, right,
things
right,
that
right,
you're
right,
doing,
yeah.
articles you're doing. You can
Yeah.
comment on all the different posts. You have your own chat. You can interact with the chat, and the chat is very
That's
friendly.
cool.
It's a
That's
know,
cool.
cool, mellow bunch of people. Other stuff I do every Saturday. I do a show called The Grill Stream where we just kind of hang out. Several people there. They're there every week. It's nice to see everybody and catch up on what's happening. There's a lot there. It's just a community. It's kind of like a Facebook group, but with cool people. That'd be the best way.
That's a good way to describe it. Well,
So-
everybody's got one now in our circle. So we've been doing this for a couple of years. So everybody started doing this, and ours started to get really successful. We put up PDFs of out of print JFK books also as part of the bonus system, so you can read the out of print JFK books for no extra money either.
And I hope to have our Lancer presentation up in the next.
Oh
week
yeah,
or
what
two.
happened to that?
Working on footage. But
Oh, okay. I'd like to see that myself because you couldn't see yourself because the screen was right next to us. I didn't see how it looked.
Right.
Is what I'm saying.
Right. So that hopefully we'll have up there too for paid supporters. So there's a lot there. Hope to see you now. I mean, come over,
all right.
check it out. You can be a member for free and at least look around and say, hey, I like it here, and I want to pay for a subscription or not. But we're going there right now.
Interesting. Okay.